Hello.
Hello, everybody.
Hello. We thought we'd check in with the Prince Andrew story. This time last weekend, Nadia was dancing and being wooed by magicians, and I was watching the Prince Andrew interview. Can you believe that was a week ago already? It's quite crazy, isn't it?
And then as soon as I got back last Sunday, I watched it, and I was utterly gobsmacked.
As was Nanny
And
Di.
have continued to be
Yes.
on a daily basis. I mean, it just goes from bad to worse. And I've been reading some interesting stuff today.
Yes. I mean,
on what from Prince Charles's biographer.
Right.
And his predictions of what he.
Oh, what does he think's going to happen?
Well, we'll talk about that a bit later, but it's quite interesting actually.
Oh.
Because I think he's quite a respected biographer.
Oh, I see.
So he talks quite a bit about where he thinks Prince Charles is at the moment with Prince Andrew.
I saw Paul Burrell, or what's his name? Burrell? Is it Paul Burrell? He was on telly.
I know some stuff about him.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I can't say.
Oh crikey. Is he a reliable source of information?
No.
No.
I don't think so.
Right. Yeah, so things have shifted along, and the reason we've called this "Is it the end of the monarchy?" is that on the family Instagram account, we asked that question, and we've never had so many replies in 24 hours.
Saying yes.
No, I mean, a fair amount saying no, saying, one bad egg.
Well, I tend to agree with Jane Moore on this. Jane Moore from Newswomen, who was the royal correspondent for years, just eons ago. But she really does think that once the Queen and Philip have gone, it's the beginning of the end. The way they have survived, for as long as they've survived, is because they have never explained. What's that saying? Never explain, never... something or other. Right. Basically, she has never explained anything, the Queen.
Right.
And Jane made a really good point the other day. She said, if they are going to continue talking about their mental health and talking about their upsets and talking about this and talking about that, and they're becoming relatable, and people start to say, oh, God, you're just like my family. You've got bad eggs, you've got this behaviour. People are going to say, well, why are you living this incredibly privileged life? And people are going to, less and less, want part of their huge amounts of their tax to go to them. I mean, I love the royal family.
Yes.
I don't want to see the royal family.
Well, I wouldn't say I love the royal family. I mean, I think if I had a choice, I would go for I mean, if we could start from scratch and have a choice, I think I would prefer the system that they've got in America. But we have them, and it's an inherited thing. And I do think they bring an inordinate amount of wealth into the country through tourism and that sense of, my God, you've got a royal family. Do you think they would now? Yes, I think they would now, and I think Prince William and Prince Harry look like they're set to... I see Prince William and Prince Harry as very much setting a new agenda for the royal family.
Well, no, but that's the other problem.
Oh.
Everyone used to know what everyone else was doing in the royal family. So you've got Prince Andrew doing this explosive interview at the same time that our future king is doing a very important 10-day tour with Camilla in New Zealand, completely wiped that off the planet. Yeah. We haven't seen one picture of Prince Charles out there. In fact, today there were paparazzi asking him about Jeffrey Epstein, which is a bit orcs. You've got Harry and William now with separate press people, so they're always clashing with what they're doing. It's become quite a mess.
Okay, well then I guess so. The Prince Andrew thing, I think, is the biggest mess I've known them be in modern times.
In modern times. I mean,
probably since Wallace Simpson and all that kind of stuff.
First, because, I mean, it's like we were trying to explain to our daughters. We made them sit and watch it.
A lot of people had to go at us for that, saying we shouldn't have let Kiki watch it. It was about too grown up. The thing is, though, he talked about it in such sort of coded language, positive action, etc.
No, he didn't know what it was.
No, he didn't know what he was talking about. If you believed Prince Andrew, you thought he was talking about a trot round the park, talking to an honourable friend and finding positive packages in places.
But the point was, our children sat there and said, this is embarrassing from Britain. That's for the rest of your lifetime. Because everything, all information, we've been getting more information from the royal family in the last year or two than we have ever. They're going to batten down the hatches like big time now, I reckon, don't you think?
Well, I do.
So it was important for the girls to watch it because we said this will be spoken about. Anyway, to have our girls just sit there and just go, but none of it makes sense. None of it adds up. Watching that was really interesting. And of course now, if a 12-year-old and a 15, 16-year-old is saying that, of course the rest of the world is. And now it has gone crazy.
But I tell you what I think. I feel that generationally, Prince Andrew is of a generation in the royal family that is the last generation passing through of that certain sort of entitlement and what have you. I think that there's a clear transitional point when Queen Elizabeth sadly passes away. And I think we might be surprised. I think Charles might just hand it straight over to William or something, you know, or if Charles...
Well, what I was reading about what his biographer was saying was he was saying Charles very, very much wants to be king.
Oh, does he?
Very much wants to be king.
Okay.
He suspects that Prince Charles will have gone completely ballistic about this.
Right.
He was suggesting that, he also said that he thinks that Prince Charles will be furious with Fergie, because, you know, Fergie was waving from the window at Buckingham Palace. And this is all supposition, of course. Well, the next day, the day after, she was round there. But also, this biographer was saying that Prince Charles
from the attic room. He
was suggesting, have to be careful because none of this is fact, that Prince Charles will be furious with Fergie. Yeah. Because he will suspect that she played a big part in convincing Andrew to do this interview.
Fergie did.
Well, we don't know this. This is all alleged.
But Fergie
and that he would want Fergie and Andrew to be evicted from the palace.
Well, Prince Andrew has had his business removed from the palace, hasn't he?
Well, he has been thrown out of the office. His offices
have essentially been thrown out. He's got his private quarters still, so he's allowed to go to his room like a very naughty boy.
But I didn't realise that his daughters live in houses in the grounds as well.
I didn't know that. What,
that
like
he
sort of
pays
dog houses?
The rent.
Oh, right.
So the oldest, the one that just got married, which one is she? So she has a three-roomed cottage in the grounds for $189,000 a year, because they say they give her at commercial rates, which I thought was quite funny. What are the commercial rates for a three-bedroom house within the grounds of Buckingham Palace?
Can I just say, Todd the Bunny, that's a very valid point you make. I've always thought, I mean, I personally am not a fan of Fergie. Let me just put that straight. But I do feel she's a little bit like the whipping boy for everything to do with Andrew that's bad. I do think she becomes a bit of a kind of...
Well, I think she's harmless
as well, but I do think
she ends up getting... Prince Charles' biography,
of course.
Supposing that this is where Charles will be at.
But here's a sort of more pressing question. What is going on for Prince Andrew? Do you think he's so pompous in his sort of inability to see precisely what it is he's done wrong? So he's still in the land of believing it was honourable going to see him. You know, does he believe all this, or does he? Do you think he's in a painful place of going, shit, hell, what's this shitstorm that's kicked off around me? Do you think he has an awareness?
Apparently, today he has been convinced to resign from pitch at the palace,
right?
Which is his most. I mean, he adores that. It's a kind of
what is it? A golfing club?
It's a kind of charitable. Yeah, it's a way of raising money for charity. He puts on golfing tournaments, I think.
Does it?
And then, like, billionaires and influential businessmen come and play golf, something like that.
Oh, I thought it was like a Dragon's Den type thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit like that.
Right.
Yeah, but I think there's golf involved. Anyway, whatever it is, and I probably got that wrong, this is very, very close to his heart. They're saying that this will be a massive deal for him, having to resign from this.
I mean, I'm just fascinated to know what goes on. I mean, we kind of saw the stress and duress that Princess Diana was under in that interview. And I'm just curious to know that because apparently he came out of that interview with Emily Maitlis and almost high-fived his team, phoned up his mum and said it went really well. I mean, I watched the footage on our vlog earlier, watched Nanny Di and the kids responding to it as they watched it. And it's gasp out loud shocking. His really disconnection, not really what he says, but it is what he says.
But I mean, if ever there was the saying, a man's life in tatters.
Right.
This is what we're witnessing, isn't it? I mean, everybody, his charities have all dumped him. You know, he's like the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, which I think he's been patron of for the last 15 years. Thank you very much, ta-da.
Yeah.
Ambassador for... Well, all sorts of things.
But I mean, things have come out this week, lots of little tidbits, like the consul, the ambassador consul type that he said he went to stay with in New York, has come out saying he has no record of him staying.
And his very trusted bodyguard cannot remember if he was with him. So it feels like there are people now that are pulling away a bit.
Oh dear.
But I mean, today he was photographed riding with the Queen.
I know, and I have to say,
It seems very odd. I haven't seen anything like that for about 100 years with him.
The analysis on that is twofold, isn't it? One, she's telling him, right, that's it, mate, matey flip, get your gear out and sling your hook with your business, and you're going to have to take it on the chin. But the other thing was she was kind of probably aware that she was going to be snapped, and she is his mum. I mean, I suppose...
And apparently it's always been said she's his favourite.
Oh,
Faith
he's her
Goodman,
favourite.
We will. Watch the body language expert reviewing
Where's
the interview.
that?
Where's that?
When?
I'd love to see that, because the girls talked a lot about that. Said, look, the way he's pulling away when he was what? 4 times? And the way he repeated everything when he was about to... Well, I can't say that he told a lie, but in our opinion, when he seemed to be telling a lie, he repeated the question, which is the most classic thing, isn't it? Oh, I just found it so cringy.
Lolly Johnston says, but where is Maxwell's daughter? She seems to have disappeared.
Today, the Sun have offered £10,000 for anyone who can come up with where she is.
Have you Google mapped her?
Well, but... people think she'll never be found. Apparently, there's a conspiracy theory that she's been murdered by Mossad.
You're joking.
Yeah, that's a conspiracy theory, yeah. People have talked about it quite seriously.
But there's all sorts of
But also,
conspiracy theories,
here's another twist.
Oh, twist, twist, twist.
The woman, sorry, I can't remember her name, who claims that Andrew did this to her. What's her name?
Oh, is it Vivian or
no?
Vanessa? No.
Vanessa Bridges, is it?
Yeah.
Well, anyway, she has now done a full interview with Panorama,
which we'll be talking about on Monday
going
night.
out on December the 2nd. So that's going to rile everything up. Because what this has done, of course, because in that entire interview with Emily Maitlis, he didn't once refer to any of the victims.
No.
He showed no feelings really for anyone. And that has made them very, very angry, quite rightly. So everybody is coming for him now.
Todd the Bunny, you ask, do you think he's very unintelligent? I do.
Yeah,
I do. I mean, I think it's very, very easy to sound intelligent from behind a very sort of posh, entitled, bumbling sort of language, and it's that sort of language that Boris Johnson uses, but unfortunately Boris Johnson's quite bright, so he uses it quite well. So I do think he's not that intelligent. I think he has, where I feel any inch of compassion for anything he's going through, and this is like a minor microscopic amount, is that I don't think any of us can imagine how cosseted his world is and how warped his sense of the world and what he's in and around.
I mean, he's
there are a couple
been
of
around lackeys all his life that agree with
absolutely.
everything he says. That's why he was almost delusional with that
Selena.
interview.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, is that his fault? It's the privilege of his birth. It's
fault?
not a privilege.
Because I think there were times in there where he was genuinely shocked. I mean, the bit where it begins to become really gritty and quite horrible, and we mustn't forget as we get light-hearted about the story that there are victims involved in this, people who've been the victims of trafficking and what have you. I mean, and Emily Maitlis wasn't at all hesitant in using the term, the accusation is they were trafficked to you.
Yes.
Now, they could be trafficked to him without Prince Andrew knowing. That's an absolute possibility. Yeah. And it could be that Prince Andrew went to have his honourable chat with Epstein to say, what the hell were you doing? I thought they came of their own free will. And he might not have known that. It might have been a perk from a friend. I
mean, he's so delusional. He could have thought these blooming women fancied him. And he had no idea that they'd been coerced and trafficked and, giving benefit of the doubt.
And I think
of course, he might not have done any of the things he's accused of.
No, absolutely. And I think all of those things then inform why he sat down and didn't... To come out of that interview and high-five and phone Mum, and go, Mum, it went really well.
We don't
the Queen.
know that.
That's no, but there was a sense within his team that it was a victory, or it was, at the end he said, thank you so much for letting me put my record... he felt he dealt with it. His biggest mistake, and I think he now knows this, because there was a rumour that he was going to redo another interview. There was a rumour he was going to do another interview.
Yeah.
To say the thing that he didn't say, which was he regrets his relationship with Epstein because of the victims.
Well, the thing is, the statement that he put out 2 days ago is what I think he should have said. Right, if he'd just said that without the interview, which was he really regretted his relationship with him, that his heart went out to the victims, that would have been enough. I mean, everyone has been saying he should have never said a single word. That's the trouble. He shouldn't have said a single word. And I mean, we must of course say that he has repeatedly refuted all the allegations and says that he's completely innocent. So it's important that we say that, because that is what he said.
And I think it's really important to understand that.
And until proven guilty, you are.
No, absolutely. But I also think, yes, I think he should talk. He should, talk to the FBI and anyone else who's doing their inquiries in America.
The FBI won't care that he's royal.
No,
I mean,
absolutely.
the fact that his aunt stirred all this up leaves him wide open to go.
No,
Do you not think that the royal family maybe already know this, and that's why everything is being shut down?
Yeah. And I think it's not at all beyond the bounds of reason to think that he fell into sex with an underage girl or underage girls several times, and he genuinely didn't necessarily know they were underage, or if he did know they were underage, he thought that they'd just come to him. Now, none of that is agreeable and none of that is right. But I think, Epstein was one thing and Andrew is another. He's not necessarily the same, the same intent and the same proactive. Of course, it's easy to think, was Prince Andrew...
People have come out and said, though, that who were at that party where he said, the party wasn't in my honour, said that, it was in his honour. I mean, the fact that the British Council was only a 10-minute walk from where Epstein lived, and yet he stayed for 4 days with him after he'd gone back to say, I can't see you anymore. I mean, it's just all these things just keep running around in my head. I just want to say, I feel so sorry for his daughters and for Fergie. Sorry, I'm hiccuping there. And for Fergie, because
I do.
I don't think Fergie's the brightest spanner in the box. I really don't. But you sort of get the feeling that she's not a bad person.
Yeah.
And the girls, I mean, they've had a rough old time. Everybody's always going on and on about the way they look and everything. But this is their dad, who they love dearly.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine your dad going through this
I know.
at the end, and then Granny, knowing that Granny's going through. I mean, Granny is 90. What is she? 92.
Well, someone was just saying up here, that they really feel. Lewis
nightmare.
Pringle saying they really feel for the Queen and Prince Philip.
I just feel like you know what though? You know how we can all have situations with families, can't we? And people will always say to each other, well, behind closed door, every family's got their nightmare. And oh my God.
Yeah.
Can you imagine they'll be living, breathing, eating this? I mean, Jane Moore was saying that the Queen does read the papers every day. That's not a myth. She does read the papers every day. But I'm wondering if at the moment she's going, because there are all these photos of him on the front of all the papers. I mean, you might not have seen him today. His eyes like this, the paps, they catch good photos. Sweating.
Well, sweating, when he says he doesn't drink...
Apparently he's cured now of his sweating.
So when he says that he doesn't drink, do you think he doesn't drink? I mean, that's something...
Well, apparently that's always been said, that he doesn't drink.
Right.
So that...
Yeah, the Queen is still a mother at the end of the day. I mean, I think for the Queen...
and a grandmother. I mean, her grandchildren.
It's really sad about the Queen. I mean, Leor just said then, don't feel sorry at all for Prince Philip. He's got his own scandals. I mean, there are issues. I mean, I think this is my feeling about it. I think what they need to do is a little bit like the government. They need to clear out the oldies, and there'll be a natural moment for that to happen, sadly, when Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip shift on. And when that happens, I think if you hold on to Prince Charles for a bit longer, this will just rumble around. I don't know. But then someone just said a minute ago, William will want Charles to take the crown. I mean, won't he? I mean, William won't want to be king from a ripe young age, even though his hair and head
earlier there, watch them now roll out Harry and William to try and get the PR back. But you can imagine Meghan and Harry now are just relieved because they're having a break from it all.
But you know what? I just think... Do you think... So what does Prince Andrew do now if all of his public duties have been removed? What does he actually do?
He's going to
play PS4 in his bedroom.
What is he continuing with? I read it. I did read it. I can't remember now.
I reckon he's playing PS4 in his bedroom now. He's going to be put on the naughty step.
Oh, Monster Mash 654. Yeah, it's interesting that they're lining up with the new season of The Crown. I feel like I don't understand how the Queen must be handling it and looking at it from behind the scenes.
Almost feels like it's like an unintentional press push for the Crown.
Yeah.
And did you see Imelda Staunton's playing the Queen in seasons 5 and 6? Yeah. So there we go, guys. What do we think? Well, we're going to be back on stream with this, with a live review reaction to the interview with Virginia, is it, I think? the woman who's made the accusations.
Yeah,
against
so
Prince
join us for that.
Andrew.
That's Panorama
On the 2nd of December.
9 o'clock, I think so.
Yeah,
Whatever
Monday
time
week.
it is on Panorama,
Yeah.
we'll do it. We'll do the chat afterwards because I
Absolutely.
think that's going to be fascinating. Monica Altona, he needs to speak to the FBI. Obviously, the new Epstein, etc. Then he needs to retire
Yeah.
and lay low. I think he has retired. At 59, that's what they're saying. Retired.
I
at
think he's
59.
retired, yeah.
You know what? This is another thing, and this might be a bit dark. You know, when I was saying earlier about his life in tatters, I mean, he could really go into a depression now, couldn't he?
Well, I did wonder
this
about
is
that.
petrifying. It must be petrifying for his family that still love him. I mean, we don't love him. We've looked at him and we just didn't like one single word of anything he said. But for his family, Pizza Express and Woking is hiring Ellie
very
Childs.
funny comment. I fancy going there to sit in the chair that he sat in.
I bet it's packed in there.
Vanessa Wilde, another annus horribilis for Queenie. Yeah, hasn't she had enough to deal with? Well, you know, I suppose you're at the top end of celeb showbiz and all that kind of stuff. This is going to happen, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway. All right, my dears. Lots of love. Lots of filming this weekend. I can't even get my head around what's going to be landing tomorrow, but stuff will be landing tomorrow.
Body language video on YouTube. Thank you for that, Faith. We will check that out.
What's that? Sorry.
That's the body language. Faith said to us, believing Bruce. Body
Thank
language.
You. And someone said, would it be possible for us to flip to a live at some point tomorrow with Lisa here?
Ah, maybe. We'll see.
Might be nice if there's time. Anyway, guys, lots of love.
Guess what she's coming to do?
Clear your pants drawers out. Sorry,
She's helping me clear out my kitchen cupboards ready for Christmas. We're going to film it. It's going to be a vlog all on its own. Sorting out my cupboards.
And her drawers. Thank God. It's about time.
See ya.
Bye.